गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। We are in Jnaneshwari, chapter 17, verse 24, and we are looking at from 23rd verse. This was told to the ignorant people, those who are not able to generate, or they have been not invited to study the scriptures, they are not interested in the scriptures, or they find hard to study the scriptures or do the puja or do the yoga or make the mind single pointed, do upasana. For such people the Om Tat Sat was given, and it is the name of these three words Om Tat Sat. They are nothing but Brahman alone, and is known as the threefold designation of Brahman. By that the Vedas, the Brahmanas and the sacrifices were ordained of old. So the Vedas, so the scriptures, they speak about it. And here what we have seen is, or we will see is, how that if a person is chanting Om Tat Sat, whether if he begins the action with Om Tat Sat, it is equivalent, and has faith, then it is equivalent to the scriptural statements. Then that action becomes a sanctified action. Yes, that's what I want to say. That action becomes sanctified action. And now we are at the verse 24. In the last verse, he said, O warrior, O Arjuna, if their use is unknown, no light can be had. So even there is timely action and the appropriate formula or mantra comes to mind, yet they are of no use without the knowledge of their proper application. Many people are great they have got PhDs in engineering, but they are not able to change the light bulb. They are not able to do basic things. They don't know how to toast a bread. They don't know how to make a coffee. And they are grown up fools. So knowledge, and we should have the ability and the acumen to apply that knowledge also. So how can we apply this Om Tat Sat when we are now the application will be told. So 24, 25, 26, 24, 24 is about Om, 25th verse is about Tat, and 26th verse is about Sat. And then the conclusion. So here he says in the 24th verse, Tasmad Omityudahritya Tasmadomityudahritya Yajnadanatapah kriyaha pravartante vidhanoktaha satatam brahmavadinam tasmadomityudahritya यज्ञदानतपः क्रियाः प्रवर्तन्ते विधानोक्ताः सततं brahmavadinam. In the 24th verse he says, therefore tasmad om itya udaharitya, by udaharitya, by pronouncing, uttering, chanting what? The syllable om. Yajna dana tapakriyaha, do the action of yajna, dana, tapa, and all actions, chanting of om. Acts of sacrifice, charity, and austerity are begun as prescribed by the knowers of Brahman. This is us. Who is we? Are we the stupid individual, or are we the all-knowing Brahman? Which one do you consider yourself to be? Now we are in 17th chapter. At least say that we consider ourselves as Brahman. Huh? So we are Brahman, but we are considering ourselves to be limited. We are in unlimited. There are no conditionings possible on us, but we are considering ourselves conditioned. That's the misery. That's the miserable state that we are in. And that is why this continuous feeling out of place everywhere, that there is something greater to be achieved, and by mistake because nobody has exposed to us, or our mind is not exposed to it, or we are not exposed to it, even though we are always that. But because of this identification with the body, this urge to be complete by possessing and associating with the world, this has become the norm for us. We have to come to recognize that we are naturally always complete. Now these are the people to whom these verses are being told. These are the people who are not able to. So they are being told that whatever actions you do, and previously we did, what was that? Annam, Yajna, Dana, Tapas, all these three, the Sattvic, Rajasic, Tamasic type were told. So whatever Kriya again means what? What was the difference between Karma and Kriya? Kriya means activity. Karma means activity done with ownership, with doership, becomes karma. So here the word karma is not used. Here the word used is yajna dana tapa kriyaha. Kriya means activity. See? How do you do it? The Om iti udahritya, by chanting Om. And you will see, any class you come and attend, or if you are eating with me, or with any Mahatma, they'll always begin with Om. Om Brahmarpanam Brahmavi, Om Vaishwanaro Bhutva Praninam Dehamansitaha, Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwaraha. Any activity is neither good nor bad. Action can be good or bad because it's the intention behind the act. What is the intention of the doer of the action? Activity is not good or bad. See? And how can we make sure that the activity that is going on, what is the activity? Here in this example, in this verse, yajna is the activity, dan is the activity, and tapas is the activity. Isn't it? How can we move from tamas to rajas, rajas to sattva? Chant Om. Do you believe in it? At the moment, no, but do it. Start. Start chanting. Start remembering the Om before every activity. and then transformation, uh, transformation happens naturally, because you're slowly, why am I chanting Om every time? What is this Om? What does it represent? Eventually, over a period of time, because we are hard nuts to crack, so we need long time, and it's okay. Where are you going to go? You're going to do something all the time, isn't it? Just add Om before it, before you begin it. Now let's see what Jnaneshwar Maharaj says. Tariya namichi akshare tinhi karma adi madhya nidani prayoja vipaisthani ihi tinhi hetsi eki hatavati घेऊनी हन किरीटी आले ब्रह्म विद भेटी ब्रह्माचिये. He says, thus 3 syllables of this name of Brahman should be used at the beginning, in the middle, and at the end of every action. See how beautiful? Begin every activity with Om. While the activity is being performed, remember Om. And after activity, conclude it with Om. Meaning, whatever the result of that activity, every activity will give you some result. Om. Also take it as Om, or chant Om. O Arjuna, by using this method, the knowers of Brahman have become one with Brahman. It's a technique. It's a technique. What is the technique? It is a recognition of the fact that Om is the all-inclusive principle. Om is the all-inclusive principle. Om is not other than the Ishvara. Om is another name for Brahman, and Brahman is larger than the largest. Everything is inclusive in it. In fact, everything is it only. And as we become habituated to chant Om, right now we are not doing not every activity we are chanting Om before, during and after. But as time goes by, initially you will have to practice, there will be a little bit of difficulty, then eventually you will fall into the habit, and you will find that automatically now you are not trying to remember that you have to chant Om, but automatically Om will be chanted, or the thought will come in your mind before, during and after. See? So here he says that the Brahma, and by now what is happening? Before activity was primary and Om was secondary. We had to practice to chant Om before, during and after. But as the time goes by, what will happen? Om will become primary and activity will become secondary. See? This is the transformation that happens. But there is one ingredient. Remember the chapter which we are in. We are in the chapter of Shraddha. It should be chanted with Shraddha, with faith. What will happen if I chant it with faith? That is not your worry. You just chant with faith, because otherwise your attention will go on what is the result I am going to get from it. You just chant with faith. Please mute yourself. I did it. So, the knowers of Brahman, the knowers of Brahman reality have become one with Brahman by employing this or applying this knowledge. What is the knowledge? Chant Om. This is the application here. Continuing. ब्रह्मेसी होवावया एकी तेन वंचती अज्ञादिकी जे चावळले वोळखी शास्त्रांचिया तो आदि तव ओंकारू ध्याने करीती गोचरू पाठी आणि ती उच्चारू वाचे हि तो तेणे ध्याने प्रकटे प्रणवोच्चारे स्पष्टे लागती मग वाटे क्रियांची ये अंधारी अभंगू दिवा आडवी समर्थू बोळावा तैसा प्रणवो जाणावा कर्मारंभी उचित देवोद्देशे द्रव्ये धर्म्ये आणि बहुवसे द्विजद्वाराहन हुताशे यजिती पैते. He says, according to the prescription of the religious texts, they do not abstain from performing sacrifices and other rites in order to attain unity with Brahman. Meaning, those, I have explained this before, those who are coming in a particular tradition, in a particular family, like our today's, some Shankaracharyas are there. They are great masters, but they continue doing the puja. Do they need to do it? No. But they still do it. They still chant the mantras. They still do the Vedic chanting. They still every day have a satsang. Is it required? No, because they are already established in the truth. And in the families we see, because we have got our deities from our ancestors and their ancestors. Oh my God, this Swamiji, this statue, this is for last 400 years, it is in our family. And every morning I get up and do the puja. And you come to Vedanta or Bhagavad Gita or Upanishads and you have to give up karma. You have to give up body identification. Then the doubt comes, how do I do the puja then? It has been going on in the family for centuries. Same thing we are doing still. And then if I don't do it, I'll be guilty. So here it is being told that you don't have to give up any activity. You don't have to give up. He says that they do not abstain from performing sacrifices. Sage Vashishta, Vishwamitra and all the Gautam Rishi, etc., they were all knowing, and yet they were doing all the havan and pujas and yajnas all the time, didn't they? Just because someone is doing a yajna or someone is doing japa doesn't mean that he is not realized. How will we come to know? So pursuing reality, having this desire for liberation is not contrary to performing the prescribed sacrifices that you are performing in your daily life. If you want to give up puja and japa and meditation, whatever other exercises you are doing, then you give up food also, you give up breathing also, you give up waking and sleeping also. They are also activities. But in the name of knowledge, we have studied Vedanta, we want to give up that which has helped them to get there. And if someday for any reason it doesn't happen, it does not matter. There is no precipitation of guilt because of that. So here that Jnaneshwar Maharaj is saying, according to the prescription of the religious texts, they do not abstain from performing sacrifices and other rites in order to attain unity with Brahman. Nothing needs to change in order to know the reality. Nothing needs to change. Activity will go on because you are not the doer of activity. Activity is happening. Where is the activity happening? Where is the activity happening? It's happening at Annamaya, Pranmaya, Manomaya, Vijnanmaya, isn't it? It is happening at the equipment level. Equipment goes through a kampan, goes through a shiver in the presence of a life, and activity begins. So we don't have to stop the activity. That every instrument in our body body, intellect, mind, breath, body, senses, whatever is their job, let them do it. You don't have to force anything. Forcing them to stop, chitta vritti nirodha iti yoga, you have dug a big well for yourself and you are going to drown in it and become frustrated. Goal is not chitta vritti nirodha iti yoga. Goal is tada drashtuhu swarupa avasthanam. Then what if our goal is tada drashtuhu swarupa avasthanam, meaning then tada drashtuhu swarupa avasthanam. Now become attentive to yourself. See yourself. And what is this seeing? See yourself. This seeing is seeingless seeing. I am looking at you at the moment, and at this moment the example came that if I want to see my eyes with myself, I don't have to turn them towards my eyeballs. I know the eyes are there. I don't have to go in front of a mirror to prove I got eyes. My senses do not have to make a U-turn to find out who is the mind. They can never come to know. But I know there is a mind. Isn't it that as an individual I know there is a mind? The mind can never come to know life, but I know there is life. See? So in this way, we have to come to this disposition that we must not create friction. When we try to control something, then friction is created. If I control my senses, friction is created. When I control my mind, heat will be generated, friction will be, because friction is created. Nature of the mind is to think thoughts, and you are trying to make the mind not to think thoughts. Then anger, then it gets disturbed. Because you want it to you want to mold the mind in a particular way. But truth has got nothing to do with that. So anyway, that point is not told here, but what he is saying is, in order to unite with Brahman, you don't have to change any activity. You continue to cook your meals, you continue to do your profession, you continue to allow the mind to worry about your children. You allow the mind to create confusion in the world. Let it happen. You don't have to fight with it. Let it go on. Because unity with Brahman is a uniting less unity. It's your natural state. You cannot gain it. Even though we use these words, gain, realization, discover the truth, but actually it is a gainless gain, because you are always that. Now, what is happening is, as an individual, we are identified with activity, and we want to disconnect with the activity. See, when the cathode and the anode come together, then spark is created, isn't it? So when the consciousness meets the activity, and as if only we will say, as if immediately the spark. And what is that spark? That spark is ownership, doership. And if that doership is not there, still activity is going on, and still the life is still there. Then where is this identification happening? It's not happening in the Atma, and it is not happening in the activity also. The owner is some ghost. And at this moment, when we consider ourselves to be the seeker, we are that ghost. We want to dissolve this ghost. Now, for that, the technique is given. What? Chant Om before, during, and after. Continuing, he says, they first meditate on Om by stamping its nature on their mind and then pronouncing it with their tongue, commence their action. So, what is that? What is the first step? First, understand what Om is. What is Om? Om is a 3-syllable word, A, U and Ma. A represents the waking, U represents the dream, Ma represents the deep sleep, and the Chandra, the half moon and the dot, they represent the higher worlds, the transcendent, the Turiya Tattva. A begins, Om is that syllable. This is what I tell the kids in the Sanskrit class. When you chant Om, Uma, A begins from the base of your throat, the guttural, and U is the palate and the cerebral, and is at the lips, and Ma, and then the Chandra Bindu, the nasal, and it goes on after that. So, in what you see is all the sounds that emanate from you, they emanate only from the Kanthakoop, from the hollow in your throat to the lips. Om is that syllable which activates every part of it. Starts from the base and concludes and continues even after the lips are closed. So it is the complete syllable. It is the natural sound of the universe. It is another name for Brahman. It is the first syllable, which is the seed syllable for all the vowels and consonants. Within the womb of the Om are all the vowels and consonants in the unmanifest form. Then from that, slowly they come out. A, A, I, I, U, U, Ru, 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 E, I, O, Au, Aha. Ka, Kha, Ga, Gha, Nga, Cha, Cha, Ja, Ja, Ya, Ta, Tha, Da, Da, Na, Ta, Tha, Da, Dha, Na, Pa, Pha, Ba, Bha, Ma, Ya, Ra, La, Va, Sha, Sha, Sa, Ha. Okay. The last word is Ha. Ha means be happy. Ha is happiness. In English also, in Sanskrit also. So here what is being told? That first understand the meaning of Om, the what you call, that what is its nature, that Om is infinite, Om cannot be conditioned, Om is the natural, continuous, unbroken, homogeneous sound. Whether you chant or you don't chant, it is still going on all the time throughout the universe. Sometimes in your mouth it gets manifest. You are making it manifest. But that doesn't mean that it is not there. It is there. Mandukya Upanishad talks in detail. Mandukya, the Frog Upanishad. It talks in detail about Om. So, listen to satsang, read it somewhere, get your mind convinced that this is what the Om means. The scriptures are talking about it in this manner, and they say this is Brahman and that is my nature. Wow, I didn't know that. Huh? I didn't know that. Now what to do? Yes, you have got 24 hours. In 24 hours, how many hours do you work? Normally 8, 9, 10 hours. Whatever you are doing, begin with Om, whenever that finishes, finish with Om. In between, try to remember Om. But when you get home, take some time out, because activity, remember. So that was you need to do those activities to earn the salary or money. You have to cook, that is also an activity to fill your tummy. But when all these extrovert activities are over, find some time wherein you can initiate an activity. And what is that activity initiation? Activity means movement. So all those activities in the world were at the physical level. Now you are going to come from physical to subtle. How? By chanting Om. And this is the topic we are doing in the Sunday morning class, which just started last week. So Vaikhari Madhyama Pashyanti Para. Gross, subtle, causal and transcendental. Gross is A, subtle is U, causal is M, and transcendental is the nasal sound. Om. And I have already told you, A is equal to waking, is gross, U is equal to subtle, is equal to dream, M is equal to sleep, is equal to causal. Now we have to chant this with faith, with understanding of the connotation and the possibility where Om can deliver us, what Om can deliver us, because it is representative, it is another name for the reality. So we have to apply it within ourselves in such a manner that the chanter and the chanted, who is the chanter? I. Who is the chanted? Om. The chanter and the chanted merge into one and their meaning becomes the same. Simple. Then there will be no confusion in your mind. Should I chant Om Namah Shivaya? Should I chant Jai Shri Krishna? Should I chant Om Aim Reem Kleem Chamundai Fat? My Guru gave me this mantra, another Guru gave me this mantra, Swamiji, I am confused. No. Om is all inclusive. Use your common sense. Don't need anything else. If you feel okay, chant the rest, but you make sure you chant Om after you have done all your other mantras. With this understanding. With the understanding what is the connotation, what is the meaning of Om. And you don't have to open the book again and again. No. He's saying, Jnaneshwar Maharaj is saying, imprinting it in your mind. Just like your name is imprinted in your mind. There are, with your name, so many people are there. If someone says in the shopping center, hey Swami, immediately I will turn around. Because who is calling me? As if there is no other person possible with the name Swami. In South India, many people have name Swami. See? Imprint. So it has gone so deep, we have become one with the meaning. Now we want to realize the meaning. For that we need an application, we need a tool. So here Om is the syllable and it is the tool and it will take you to the conclusion. And what is the conclusion? It will not take you, oh, I am the chanter, it will, okay, here I'll take you there. No. The conclusion is you and Om merge into each other. Where merging means here, merging means doesn't mean, now that is what we are going to explain on Sunday mornings. It's like the wave merging into the waters, the ornament merging into the gold. The ornament was thinking it has an independent identity But before the goldsmith melted it, it started chanting Om. And his meaning of Om was gold. It realized gold before he was melted, the ornament was melted. Realized. But for that, do we need melting? No. Do we need to die in order to know that we are of the nature of Om? No. We have to do it while living. If you can do it, great. If it happens with the last breath, also great. After death, there is no guarantee. After death, there is no guarantee. Because nobody knows what is going to happen. That's why I said last breath, okay, possible. So they first meditate on Om by stamping its nature on their mind and then pronouncing it with their tongue, commence their action. It's not told they begin the chanting in their mind. It said with the tongue. Means we must chant the japa or Om, and this is not japa. I got a mala in my hand and Om, 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 Om. No, this is not, we are not doing the japa of Om. Then what are we doing? We are chanting 1 month. We understand the meaning of Om. It is in our heart, it is in our mind. And we chant, not necessarily very loudly. Chant it with full awareness, full availability. You are aware of the sound emanating from the beginning till the end, where it ends. And you already know the meaning. And what is the meaning? I, the self, I, the Brahman, or that Brahman and Atma are one and the same, or I am of the nature of infinite reality. That is what it is. So when you chant this, it is not about how many times you have done. Chant one, be absolutely at peace with yourself, in silence. Mind is undisturbed when the Om concludes. In that silence of the mind, you are. Be aware, and it will last for maybe half a second, 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, depending. And after that, again the mind will click in. The moment mind is clicking in, again the next Om. Again, same thing. And focus on more on rather than we are not a wolf, midnight wolf. We are not that. We are seeker. We want to realize our nature. So and little bit attention, long attention. See? So do practice this only if you practice. If you apply, then it is possible. Otherwise, forget it. This utterance at the commencement of action is as valuable as a lamp with a steady light in darkness, or the company of a strong man in the forest. So, whether it is on the seat of meditation, whether it is anywhere when you are going to start, sometimes if you see some satsangs, people are Om, 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 फटाफट 3 Om बोल देंगे, and then Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Deva Maheshwara, and then start the lecture. No, it is time when you are chanting Om, 3 Oms, it is time to collect yourself, integrate yourself, drop all extroverted, keep all the distractions at bay and come to be available to yourself. That is why we are chanting Om. It is not out of a discipline. It is not, we are not chanting Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, नहीं करेंगे तो फिर क्लास कैसे शुरू होगी? फिर भी हो सकती है. You can still start the class without that. But those 3 Oms and Guru Brahma is chanted not only by me, but you should also chant along with me to come to your center, come to become alert, come to be available to yourself. Because whole day we have been extroverted. Now if any activity is done, this is how we used to do. Every morning you get up in the morning, you take shower, you light a lamp and you chant Om Bhur Bhuva Swaha. You chant the mantra or you just do Om 21 times every morning. गायत्री मंत्र में बच्चों को बोलते हैं ना, do 21 times Om. We used to do Om 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 Om, mummy हो गया. No, but nobody told us we have to do it slowly. But if you do it, then that habit will linger in your daily life also, in all other activity in the day also. So that is what is titled, and this will become a protective armor. It will give you strength, Atma Bala. Because your mind is focused on Om. A focused mind is like a pointed spear. It can pierce any obstacle. The sharper it is, it can pierce anything, anything and anyone also. But you are not anyone, anything. So same way, a focused mind not with tension, a relaxed focus. Such a mind which is enjoying the chanting of Om, anything that life throws at it is able to sort it out effortlessly. But a disturbed mind, agitated mind, distracted mind, dull mind is incapable of sorting things out. It feels it has to do something. If I don't do, how things will happen? But already the stress is there. With that stress, it is going to try and resolve something. Then anger will come, frustration will come, friction will happen. But where there is relaxed focus, and that relaxed focus will come only if the ingredient of faith is sprinkled on it. That faith gives you the relaxed focus, not ego. Then the ability to sort everything out. Or you know it will get sorted out. You know problems have come, they will go away also. See? So here Bhagwan is telling this utterance at the commencement of action is as valuable as a lamp with a steady light. Steady light is that which does not flicker, continuous. And when we practice this again and again and again on a daily basis, why only daily, morning and evening? Try and do it during the whole day. It will take time, but it's okay. We think we have got enough time, but actually we don't. So urgency is required, but approach it with relaxed focus. So when we become committed to it, then it will be like a unflickering lamp. And what does a lamp do? Removes all the darkness. Where is the darkness? In our mind. What is the darkness? What is the ignorance? That I am the body, that I am limited, that I am conditioned, that I am the doer, that I am the enjoyer. All this, avidya, kama, karma, all this will start dissolving by itself. You don't have to try anything, because the nature of Om is illumination. See? Nature of lamp is to remove darkness. And the second example that is taken is ready to light in the darkness, or the company of a strong man in the forest. So whatever difficulties come, sometimes the twigs are there, the branches are there, and you need a strong man to move it aside so that you can pass through. You need a security guard, Z security, for protecting you from the thieves, dacoits, animals, wild animals in a jungle, in a forest. Same thing, our mind is a forest of all possibilities. The Om becomes our strong man. He is the Z security. He is the God security. Brahman security. The moment you chant it, sab kuch, the seeming obstacles just dissolve by themselves. See? The knowers of Brahman get the Brahmins to offer sacrifices to titular deities by spending their legitimate earnings. The realized master asked those knowledgeable people, here we are talking about the whether it is a seeker, you are all seekers, but you also feel you are an individual, and seeker feels he is an individual. So then what the knowers of Brahman do? They say whatever your earnings are there, what are they? What did he say? Spending their legitimate earnings. Get the Brahmins to offer sacrifices to the gods from the legitimate earnings, not by earnings from wrong methods, because there is purity attached to it. Continuing in the 361st OV, आहवनीयादिवन्हि निक्षेपरूपी हवनी यजिति पै विधानी फुडे होऊनी किं बहुना नाना याग निष्पत्ती चे घेऊनी अंग करीती नावडते या त्याग उपाधीचा का न्याये जोडला पवित्री भूम्यादिकी स्वतंत्री देश काळ शुद्ध पात्री देती दाने अथवा एकांतरात कृच्छ्री चांद्रायणे मासोपवासी शोषोनि गाधातुराशी करीती तपे एवं यज्ञदान तपे जिये गाजती बंध रूपे ती हीच होय सोपे मोक्षाचे तया. He says that they offer oblations as prescribed. Here we are talking about the sacrifice. So do the sacrifices with legitimate earnings, and then he says they offer oblations as prescribed in the three sacred fires: Ahvaniya, Garhapatya, and Dakshina. In this way, by performing sacrifices of various kinds, they destroy their limitations, upadhis, which they abhor. They give in charity to holy Brahmins at proper place and time, land or riches obtained by them justly. They perform austerities and chasten their bodies by eating on alternate days or observing the Chandrayana vow every alternate month. In this way, If sacrifices, charity, and austerity, which are well known as the means causing bondage, are performed after uttering Om, they conduce easily to emancipation. Hmm? So, all the three, the sacrifices and the dana, so yajna, dana, and tapas, when all of these are performed or got involved with the chanting of Om, knowing fully well what the Om represents, not an imaginary reality. Om represents the Brahman, and that Brahman is expressing as the Atma. And Brahman and Atma are not separate from each other, just like woman and wife are not separate from each other. With respect to this body, it is called Atma, but actually, with respect to this house, it's called 11 Wolseley Avenue, space. I can do whatever I want in this space. I own it. I feel. Not that I own anything. But the space, the nature of the space and the total space is the same, isn't it? The space inside the pot and space outside the pot, the quality, the nature is exactly the same. Same way, the Atma within and the infinite reality is one and the same. How do we get to it? Om. And all that what was told, that give in charity at the right time, at the right place, and give only that which from that which you have legitimately earned. Some people feel very shy to give dakshina also. Some places they will take you to another room. Swamiji, here is something for you. As if it's a sin they are committing. All people are there. They don't want to. They give it. We must, if I am taking the class on Bhagavad Gita, I must feel the privilege that the divine has given me the opportunity to share these words and contemplate at the same time. What a wonderful opportunity he has given. Similarly, when we do yajna, dana, tapas, it is not, they don't need it. We are doing it. It is a privilege that we have, that we have got the opportunity. Someone has called us to do the puja. Someone has called us to give a lecture, a satsang. It is our privilege. It is our need to give dan to the need, to the Brahmins. You go and give dan to the orphans. You go and give dan to the beggars. What blessings they will give you? And there, what is your attitude? You are doing a favor on them, because you have enough and plenty and they have nothing. Oh, poor man, here. Saab ek aur rupaya de do na, acha chal. Instead of 5 rupees, I'll give you 10 rupees. And you feel you have done great. That is not done. That is not done. Dan is to be given to a worthy person. To the Brahmins, here as Jnaneshwar Maharaj is saying. And who are Brahmins? That he has not said here. He has said, we have covered that before in some chapters. Brahmin is who is living a life only for the Brahman, only for reality. He doesn't get involved in earning wealth. He does not get involved in building and having a portfolio. His portfolio is only Om Tat Sat. Then he is a Brahmin. See, continuously in and through every activity, he is available to the reality. As a seeker, Brahmin, he is waiting for the reality, to discover the reality, to merge into the reality. And to others like Vasishtha ji, Gautam Muni, and Vishwamitra, they are all realized masters. Yet they continue. So, whom are you going to get more blessings from? If you give dakshina to sage Vasishtha or to a beggar on the street who has got the capacity to bless you, who has got the acumen and the strength to guide you to move to so that you move in the right directions by his blessings. Who is? So choose. It's not only because someone is wearing this color cloth or someone is having the garb of a Brahmin, but all other actions are anti-Brahmin because he doesn't believe in God, but he is wearing all the paraphernalia, correct thing, and moving around in this world. Educate yourself. And if you don't know, then it's no problem. But if you know and you still do it. And this is what we do when we go to Badrinath. So many times we have been there. We go to Badrinath, we go to Triambakeshwar, we go to Haridwar, Varanasi. We bargain with the priests. We bargain with the priests. No, this puja is too expensive, that is too much money, I can't afford that much, can you reduce the price? Then he will say, I can't give you too much blessings, I will also then he is talking about that they perform austerities. And see, when we chant Om, our karma gets purified. Our karma gets purified. When we chant Tat, our Tat, Om Tat Sat hai na, teen hai, Om Tat Sat. With Om, the karma gets purified. Gross. With Om Tat, Tat, it's going to come in the next verse, but just lollipop. Tat is about that. So when you are doing dan, Om Tat Sat, you give the dan. So what is that? Your intentions are purified. You are not giving the dan out of egoistic disposition. You recognize this abundance that I have, whatever little bit abundance I have, is his. He only prompted me to give it. Om Tat Sat. Tera tujhko arpan, kya lage mera? What is there to be called as mine? Nothing. And Sat is the truth, the existence. And that is for tapasya, where the individuality is dissolved to recognize that it is of the nature of Sat. See? So first karma is purified, second intentions are purified, and third the individuality or the ego is purified or dissolved. See? Om Tat Sat. And here one example is given, that when you are going on pilgrimages or when you are doing your sadhana, Jnaneshwar Maharaj is saying, eat every alternate day. Don't eat every day. Don't get into this habit. Or he is talking about Chandrayana Vrat. Chandrayana Vrat is that on a full moon day you have 15 spoons of food. Next day only 14 spoons. Then again 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. No meal on Amavasya. Then again 1 spoon. Then next day 2 spoons. Then third day. Then full moon again 15 spoons. So 1 month weight loss program. Otherwise, breakfast bhi chahiye, lunch bhi, we want lunch also, dinner also, in between some snack also, 4 o'clock coffee also, and if some guest comes, do you want a coffee? Yes, are you, Swamiji, are you also having? I don't mind, I'll have one. And दूसरा भी हो गया, तीसरा भी हो गया. There is no end to this Bakasur. Then we are not serious, we are not alert that all this dumping that is going on, is it helping us? Is it keeping us prim and proper at physical, mental and intellectual level? We have to be lean, physically, mentally, and intellectually lean means the I, the ego becomes lean, means it has got very few things to hold on to. So that is the Chandrayana Vrat. Try sometimes, those who are young, don't try it in your old age, you'll create problems. If sacrifices, charity and austerities, which are well known as the means causing bondage, are performed after uttering Om, they conduce easily to emancipation. Now see, big jhatka has been given. What is jhatka? What is bondage? Yajna, dan, tapas is bondage. Yajna, doing sacrifice is bondage. Doing charity is bondage. Doing tapasya, chitta vritti nirodha iti yoga is bondage. Because these are all artificial. Realization is your natural state. By doing, you will not reach realization. Activity cannot take you to realization because activity is only at the level of equipment. And in the presence, activity is happening at the level of equipment, and that equipment gets activated in the presence of someone. And that someone is this Atma or Brahman. So that activity can never come to the self. And this is your observation. You are the observer of activity at the body level, senses level. You are aware and conscious of the activity at the thought level. That means if you are conscious of it, you must be other than it, no? Then how come? But we have taken it for granted that I am doing, I am seeing, I am hearing, I am touching, I am thinking, I am waking, I am dreaming, I am sleeping. But you know all these happened and went. They began at a particular moment, they stayed for some time and then they went away. Then you must be someone other than all this. So keeping this point in mind, Jnaneshwar Maharaj is saying here that where are they? That if sacrifices, charity and austerities, which are well known as the means causing bondage, sacrifices are causing bondage. Why? We want blessings from the gods. We want blessings from the gods. Why? We have done so many wrong things, knowingly or unknowingly. We want to do dan. Why we want to do dan? Because, I have got enough and I'm a self-made man, I got so much wealth. Then what am I going to do? I'm going to make coronavirus vaccine and make billions of dollars by doing that. This is not dan. This is not dan. And where did you start? How do you know how to make vaccine for coronavirus? Because I only made the coronavirus. So I create the problem, then I solve the problem. देखो, दिस इज नॉट दान. दान दोगे, जिसको दोगे वो कहेगा हट, मेरे को नहीं चाहिए तेरा दान. फिर क्या करोगे? देन व्हाट विल यू डू? देन यू विल नॉट से अच्छा जो भगवान की इच्छा. You will not say that. You will say, see, with so much faith, and I came to this, after so many 8 hours of climbing, I have reached Kedarnath, and with so much devotion, I wanted to give this dakshina and food to these puja sadhus there, and they just said, get away from me. We don't want your dakshina, or don't touch me, don't come close to me. We don't want your food. And see, I did so much tapasya to climb up, and I really from my heart I wanted to give money to the sadhus and the food to the sadhus. But see how rude they are. And they said, you don't touch me, you don't talk to me, you don't give me anything, I don't want anything from you. At that time, do you think Hari Ichha? You go into judgment of the sadhu, isn't it? So need is ours. Need is ours. And no amount of yajna, no amount of dan, no amount of tapasya, they only enhance the ego, if not performed correctly. And what is the way to perform correctly? Om Tat Sat. Don't have the ownership of doing the yajna sacrifice. This is also yajna going on. This is a sacrifice. This is a vak yajna. Don't have the ownership that I am doing the talk. Om Tat Sat. Don't have the ownership that I am doing the dan. मिल गया तो किसी ने मेरे पास है, if someone wants it, I'll give it to them. If they don't, we don't have to give it to everyone. We have to only give to one person who is qualified, who is deserving. Om Tat Sat. God will bring the right person in your life. Give it to that person. It doesn't mean that every day you have to give to someone. And if it happens, so be it. See, if every morning I have to give roti ka daan, गाय को खिलानी है roti, and one day guy doesn't come, the cow doesn't come to get the roti, are you going to go? You will fast whole day. Maybe one day you will fast. Next day what you will do? You go search for some other cow. Third day, अरे छोड़ो यार, चिंटियों को खिला के अपना खाना खा लेते हैं. You are feeling bad. Idea of dan is not for you to feel bad. It is to make you feel good. And you will feel good only when you consider that you are not the giver. You are only an instrument. And same thing with tapasya also. Because when yajna, dan and tapa, when they are done, and if they are done with ownership, they are done with doership, they become bondage. Then a person gets addicted to them. And there is nothing wrong. You can keep doing it, but don't have the ownership of doing it. They must become an instrument for purification. And what is purification? That we come closer to the reality. In fact, we discover the reality in that act. Continuing. स्थळी नावाजिया दाटिजे जळीती आंची जेवी तरीजे तेवी बंधकी कर्मी सुटिजे नामे येणे परिहे असो ऐसिया या यज्ञदानादि क्रिया ओंकारे सावाइलिया प्रवर्तती तिया मोटकिया जेथ फळी रिगोपाहाती निहाळी प्रयोजिती तिये काळी तत्शब्दुतो. Jnaneshwar Maharaj says, we can cross the sea on boats which seem heavy on land. In the same way, with the help of this God's name, one gets release from the bonds of action. If Jnaneshwar Maharaj is saying we need to get released from the bonds of action, meaning the ownership of activity is called bonds of action, that I am the doer, this we have to become free of. This happens by the chanting of Om. By God's name one gets released from the bonds of action. Again I repeat, Vaikhari, Madhyama, Pashyanti, Para. Gross, subtle, causal and transcendental. Our goal must be this. Or O. This is not our goal. Our goal is transcendental. And what is represented by transcendental? After Ma. That is transcendental. So therefore, in the beginning of this verse, Jnaneshwar Maharaj said, understand the meaning, imprint it on your mind. So sacrifices, charities, austerities and other rites are commenced with the utterance of Om. When these actions show signs of coming to fruition, then the second syllable Tat is brought into operation. So whenever we are doing any activity, here yajna, dan, tapas is an activity, sacrifice, charity and austerity. It is an activity. And when you have accomplished it, it will give you some fruit. If you do exercise, you will feel healthy. If you do the puja and it goes without any hiccup, the mantra ucharan was perfect diction, no steps missed. The fire invoked was the Sapta Jivha, and everything was perfect. After that, prasad is given. The prasad also is accepted by the fire, or we offer it to the Lord. Then don't have a list, bucket list. No. Here he says that result that you are getting, what is the result? That the talk went well, yajna, the talk sacrifice went well, the listening sacrifice went well, everything was understood. Everything was understood. I did not say I understood everything. Everything was understood. The charity was done. That person felt happy, felt contented, felt thankful. That is your observation, that is your result. Or thing is that I gave the charity or dakshina or blanket or clothes or food to the sadhus. Some took and some didn't take. Hari Om Tat Sat. So I gave and they didn't take. They don't know who I am. I am Atis Mar Khan. Nahi. Then whatever the result brings us to the second element in this Om Tat Sat. Second is Tat. Tat is Tat Tvam Asi. Tat Tvam. Tvam Tat Asi. Are. You are that. What is that? That infinite reality. Tat is that infinite reality. Tat is that Ishvara. Tat is that higher power. Tat is that X factor. Tat is that force. Tat is that all consuming, all inclusive principle, all pervading principle. Tat. So whatever result comes, instead of saying thank you very much, it is because of the merits that I have collected that I got this result in my life, that I passed. Because of my hard work I passed. Because I was attentive, so I understood. This is wrong conclusion. Om Tat Sat. It is by His grace alone. That the result has. So whatever is the result, it's a prasad. And prasad is not yours, prasad is His. See? Prasad is His. Prasad is His giving. So whatever result comes in life, we accept it as His. Then when the prasad is there, when we go to the temple, we don't say, oh, there was no salt in this prasad. We don't go and write in the complaint book, the prasad was not sweet enough. Are you holding back on sugar? Yesterday they used to give one badam and one kaju and one kishmish, and today they gave me only few grains of rice. You don't complain. Whatever you get in prasad when you go to the temple, you accept it with reverence, without judgment, and with great respect and reverence. You take it, you close your eyes that it has come from the higher, and you take part of it. Why not the result of every action in your life? Whether it is yajna, dan, tapas, whatever the result, take it as the prasad. Tat. So that brings us to the next point, which is tat. So when we perform our actions, we must be aware of Om, we must chant Om, we must practice in our life Om continuously, as was told by Jnaneshwar Maharaj. See, all this is not given in the shloka. This is Jnaneshwar Maharaj's Bhavartha Deepika. He, out of his own feeling for this verse and the people who are sitting in front of him, these words are coming out of him. And he is giving you the exercise how to contemplate on it, on this verse with Om Tat Sat. Then he says, when these actions show signs of coming to fruition, where are we? So sacrifices, charities, austerities and other rites are commenced with the utterance of Om, and when they come to fruition, then the second syllable Tat is brought into operation. See? And the third verse, this will be the 25th verse, will talk about Tat now. And 26th verse will talk about Sat. So 25th, let's see, what is the time now? 8:52, okay. Tad ityanabhisandhaya phalam yajñatapah kriyaah dana kriyascha vividhaah क्रियन्ते मोक्षकांक्षिभिः तदित्यनभिसन्धाय त्यनभिसन्धाय फलं यज्ञतपक्रियाः दानक्रियाश्च विविधाः क्रियन्ते मोक्षकाङ्क्षिभिः. He says, by uttering tat and without seeking award or reward, by pronouncing tat and not seeking award or reward, the various acts of sacrifice and austerity, as also the acts of charity, are performed by those desiring liberation. If you are desiring liberation, if you are seekers of truth, if you are a satsangi person, we are not talking about professional satsangis, we are talking about those who are keen, those who have the urgency, the mumukshutvam within them, to sort it out once and for all. Enough. Then for them, whatever acts, whether it is yajna, dana, tapa, they do not seek a reward. It is not done for any purpose. It is not done with a motive in mind, that I am doing this yajna for the loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Did God send you a letter? Hey, I appoint you. You have to improve on my creation. Did he say that? No. Then why you are doing it? It's an expression of joy. Why are you giving lecture? Expression of joy. I am not trying to improve you. Whether you are there or not there, who cares? I continue or I don't continue, it does not matter. So there is no purpose, there is no hetu, there is no ulterior motive behind that. When I do this, this will happen. I will get this. That I am collecting merits. I am having a good bank balance of merit. Why? For last 22 years I have been giving satsang. So many times I have spoken on Gita, so many times I have done Upanishad, so many times I have done Vedic chanting, so many times I have done pujas and havans. I have got a good bank balance. Why? If I don't realize in this life, next life it will come in handy. See? But majority people are thinking like this only. Knowingly or unknowingly. You have to tap your heart and see what are your motives. Is the motive that if you don't do it, you will feel guilty? Is that the motive? Is expectation the motive? Or is it just being in the presence of the Lord by thinking of the Lord and doing the puja of the Lord? That is the motive. Then it is good. There should be no precipitation of guilt or expectation when we do yajna, dana, tapa. If precipitation of guilt or regret happens, I should not have given that, I should not have done that. Or if there is an expectation that if I do this and this and this and this will happen, we are off the radar of moksha, of liberation. So those who are seeking liberation, they must not have an ulterior negative or positive motive. Their motive, if at all I can use the word motive, then the motive should be that it's just out of joy. It's just for the sake of it. Out of happiness I am doing it. And then when you are doing it with happiness, whether you take sankalpa or no sankalpa, it does not matter. Because sankalpa is, I want something. Shraddha, Bhakti, Jnana, Vairagya, Siddhartham. So you are asking from him in the sankalpa, give me Shraddha, Bhakti, Jnana, Vairagya. Amuk kale, amuk pakshe, amuk ayane, amuk divase. Then you are making sure that God knows that you are in this place at this moment, in this nakshatra in this date and in this time on this land. You're honing. It's like all these mantras are like radar. You're sending out the signal. Amuka ayane, amuka pakshe, amuka deshe, Glen Waverly sthite, 11 Wolseley Avenue, Gruhe. See? So the God knows. Oh, now I know what his location is. Zoop. And he's waiting for you to make a mistake. and if our intention is not clear, we will make a mistake. There goes our blessings. No blessings. Why it did not happen, I don't know. A human being is a very funny creature. So, by uttering Tat and without seeking award and reward, the various acts of Yajna, Dan and Tapa are performed by those desiring liberation. We will look at this, the Bhashya in our, Bhashya means the OVs in our next class. That whatever is happening in our life, every moment of our life, activity is taking place, and every moment of our life, result is coming to us. I'm not only talking about the worldly activities. Breath is also an activity. Every moment activity of breath is going. It is giving you a result, and what is that? Life. Isn't it? Thoughts are coming. You are not creating them. They are coming by themselves. And they go away by themselves. And what is the next thought? Again another thought comes. So how do you cultivate? How do you cultivate yourself? Do you see that everything that is happening in the world and in this creation and in you or through you, there is a hand of some higher in it? When we say the verse Brahmarpanam Brahmavihi Brahmagnau Brahmanahutam Brahmaivatena Gantavyam Brahma Karma Samadhina, Brahmarpanam, Brahman is offering or Brahman is offered into the sacrifice. Brahmahavihi, Brahman alone is receiving the sacrificial whatever ahuti you have given. So Brahman is the offering and Brahman is devouring that offering. Havihi, Brahmagnau, the fire. It's all Brahman is fire. Brahmanahutam Brahmaivatena Gandham. And after the fire burns it all, where does it go? Where does all that ahuti go? It goes to Brahman only. Brahmaiva Gantavyam Brahma Karma Samadhina. So Samadhina, contentment. Contentment will only come when we have this angle of vision that is that one reality, that one Brahman, which is appearing as many and playing with itself. It is that one water which is playing with itself in the form of waves. In fact, it is nothing but Brahman. We are calling it waves. Why are the waves there? Waves there. Is there any purpose of the waves on the ocean? Then why are they there? Out of his joy. Ocean is complete. Brahma Karma Samadhina. So the activity that is taking place in the ocean is out of fullness, contentment, wholesomeness. So the activity which is happening in our life or in our observation, is it being observed from the angle of wholeness, or is there an urge? If I don't do it, what will happen, man? So it is not just a mere mantra, Brahmarpanam Brahmahi. If you understand that mantra, everything is full stop. Your vision, your angle of looking at this world will transform. That one alone is playing with itself. As we saw in Shiva Shakti Samavesh. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Just sit quietly for a few seconds.